Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes, everything's great.
Yeah, that's good. Well, a little bit about me. So I originally came from visual effects, where I worked as a rigger for many years. These are some of the companies that I've worked at. I specialized in particular in facial rigging. So putting all the muscles and skeletons inside the faces that we'd see on the big screen for both feature animation and visual effects as well. And then I originally then joined Autodesk as a technical specialist, doing a very similar role to Roland, demonstrating Maya and Shotgun. And then most recently, I now specialize just in Shotgun and look after that product for EMEA. So obviously today's webinar is mainly focused on Shotgun for animation and visual effects, but of course Shotgun is used in many other industries as well. So that would include computer games and design visualization too. So what is the challenge that Shotgun's trying to solve? So as you know, when we launch into a production, there's many factors in play, whether it's lots of emails, lots of different software. You know, I know plenty of studios that use post-it notes abundantly, and there's many artists working across different locations around the globe. So when you scale this problem up across many sites, many shots, many assets, you know, that's a huge amount of data to keep track of, and a lot of resource management that needs to be monitored as well. So if we look at a modern day post-production pipeline, you know, this is just an example of some of the departments that come into play. So we would have rigging, texturing, animation, you know, and this is happening not just on, say, one asset or one shot, but multiple shots. And everyone is needing to communicate with each other and somehow stay on top of what is the very challenging task of a modern day production. So this really is the purpose of Shotgun. It's a production management tool set, and it's essentially acting as the glue that will hold all these pieces together. So we would have, you know, multiple softwares. Shotgun can act as a replacement for things like email. So rather than emailing the person next to you to say, hey, I've completed that asset, you know, Shotgun has a way of monitoring all of this communication. So it's a collaborative production management tool set that operates in the cloud. So it's a web-based interface. And this is the simplest way that we can stay on top of production. There are many studios using Shotgun around the globe, ranging from, you know, very large studios such as Framestore, Weta Digital, Technicolor Group, down to, you know, much smaller studios as well, focusing on perhaps commercials and, you know, maybe 10 to 20 people. And it is a fantastic product because it's very scalable. So it can be scaled right the way up to, you know, many thousands of employees around the globe, but it's also can be simplified for the smaller studios using Shotgun as well. So this presentation is broken down into 4 main parts. So we have production management, the creative collaboration, tracking and reporting, and then client communication. So how do we liaise with clients outside of the studio? So I'm going to go through these 4 sections, giving you an overview of what the product is, how it works, how it can also be used for review and approval as well. So there's that creative process that needs to be monitored. And then there's the tracking and reporting side of Shotgun as well. So how do we pull some of the analytics out of Shotgun? Now, there's been a few changes with Shotgun over the last couple of years. Most recently, Shotgun Create was added, and I'll be talking a little bit about this moving forward. But the way we're helping to shape where Shotgun goes in the future is by going out and speaking to our clients, speaking to producers, speaking to management and artists as well about how we shape the products moving forward. So in particular this year, we had a production scheduling workshop in LA where we invited some of our top clients, spent a few days with them, really drilling down into what are the problems that we need to solve in modern day production. So Shotgun is really reaching out to our audience and listening to what clients and studios actually want to see in future iterations of Shotgun moving forward. So this is really helping to drive our roadmap. And there's been a big initiative this year with new hires in Shotgun. So we've actually hired 6 new developers in Krakow, so in Poland, and we're really focusing on that new development in Shotgun. So there's a big drive at the moment to improve the product and to take it to the next level. So let's start with the production management side of Shotgun and see what a typical Shotgun page looks like and how it can help your productions. So this is a typical Shotgun site. So we have a projects page, which would be the top level, and then you can go down into either assets or shots, or whatever your studio likes to call things within a production cycle. So if it's more, say, if we imagine it would be a toy manufacturer, it could be box sets and parts, for example. But in this case, in visual effects, we're looking at shots and assets. In computer games, it would be levels and assets. So this is a typical Shotgun site. So as I said, we start with that project level, and then we can drill down into the different shots and assets. And then within there, we can see the status of how is that asset coming along in production. So we would have this little symbol here is in progress, for example. This one's been finalized. We can have little thumbnail playbacks of what those assets are. And we can then go down and drill into these assets in much greater detail. So let's have a look at some of these active vehicles, for example. So every field and column that we see here in Shotgun is completely customizable. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about it being a very scalable tool, but also can be simplified. So any of these columns that you see here, you get to choose what they're called, what you want your priorities to be called, what you want your statuses to be called, and also what your pipeline steps should be called too, and what your departments should be called. So you have full control over all of this, so you don't have to force your studio to work the Shotgun way. You make Shotgun work the way your studio likes to work. And the same would be said for things like folder structures and things like this, which we can go into later. But here we're seeing how we can completely move around and customize what columns are visible here. We can see we've added a priority column there. We're moving things around, getting the layout just how we like. And we can see here we've got the asset name, we've got a little thumbnail, and all the departments which we just expanded. So if we go into the modeling task that would be associated with this particular asset, we can then see who it's been assigned to, when its start and end date is, the duration, and also the status of that particular task. So we would have the status of the overall asset, so this is in progress, but maybe a couple of the tasks associated with that have already been finalized. So the art and modeling, in this case, have already been finalized. So you get to really choose how you want to view this data and filter it. And filtering is definitely one of the most powerful parts of Shotgun. So if we want to go in and filter for, say, just show me vehicles, we've got this little filter tab at the top right here. And it's filtering in the same way that you'd filter an Excel spreadsheet, for example, but it's incredibly powerful and makes searching and looking for different assets and shots in Shotgun very simple. So this is an example of what the filter would look like. So we can say, just show me items that are in progress, for example. We can even apply it to your own Shotgun login. So you can say, just show me tasks that have been assigned to me. And that would be based on my own Shotgun login. And then if I were to share that filter with somebody else, it would be personalized to their login as well. Or you can hard code it and you could say, just show me items that have been assigned to Christopher, for example. So we can see here the different priorities that are being changed. And then if we want to go down and look at these tasks associated with an asset in greater detail, we can view it in more of a Gantt chart style view. So here on the left, we can see all the different tasks and assets and tasks. So we've got our chase cam, and then there's 4 tasks associated with that. The same with the dreadnought asset. We can see exactly who has been assigned to each task, when the start and due date are for each task, and the duration. And the nice thing about this Gantt chart is it's all dynamic. So if we look down at the bottom here, we've got this flats asset. Now, if we start moving things around in the Gantt chart, you'll see here on this side that the numbers automatically dynamically update, which is what the little green flashes are. And we can select these 4 tasks and say link dependencies. And when we do that, based on the duration, it will automatically populate the start and end date for all the other tasks happening after the art department, for example. So this allows us to be able to dynamically move things around. We can see that the grayed out items here also take into account the weekends. And if, say, Spencer was working a 3-day week, we could also take that into account as well. So we'd have just a larger portion of grayed out days, but the task would then get stretched out around his particular work schedule. If we want to then go down into an individual level and click on a person, we can then see all of the tasks associated to that individual and make sure that they're not being overworked. Now, there's lots of work being done behind the scenes at the moment to really streamline this human resource management functionality, and it's a big area of focus looking at our roadmap moving forward. And if anyone's interested in our roadmap, we have a shotgunsoftware.com/roadmap, and you can really see what's being considered, what's being delivered, and what's currently in progress in terms of next-gen features coming soon for Shotgun. So now let's take a look at the creative collaboration side of Shotgun. So this would be things like review and approval. It would be sharing work with supervisors, art directors, sharing work externally as well with clients. And we can see how Shotgun can be used to really monitor that creative feedback that needs to happen, particularly with assets coming from any visual effects or animation studio. So this is one of our latest additions to Shotgun. It's called Shotgun Create. So this is a desktop tool. It comes with every license of Shotgun, so you can download it from the apps section of Shotgun. And what it does is it allows you to do one of 2 things. It allows your artists to view their tasks in a much more simplified, artist-friendly panel, because although Shotgun is very scalable, it can monitor a huge amount of data, but sometimes for the individual artists, to keep their workflow very nimble, all they're really interested in is just what are their priority tasks for today only. So they have a simplified view just showing my tasks. They can see what's due this month, they can see when it's due, what's waiting to start, and what's due later. So it really helps them prioritize what needs to be worked on first. And they can see what's upcoming, what's active, and what's been completed. Now, Shotgun Create is very clever because it talks not only to Shotgun, but it can figure out as well, similar to our Shotgun integrations via plugins, what software you have installed on your system. So what it would do in this case, say for a Maya artist, for example, we can see here, looking at a particular asset, that if we right click, all of this software has been installed on this individual's machine, and we can then open that asset in the context of Shotgun, go into the right location, and then start to work on it. So the plugins that we have for all of our integrations with Shotgun will connect those tools with Shotgun. So whether it's Maya, Houdini, and what that allows us to do is every time an artist saves out a new scene file, for example, Shotgun is aware of that new publish in the creative sense. So Shotgun isn't a check-in, check-out system. It's not like Perforce, for example. So it doesn't really store your Maya scene files. What Shotgun is monitoring is the metadata. So this is making sure that we know where that file lives on your system, so still be on local storage, who published it, what version it is that's been published, perhaps we're up to version 3 of that Dreadnought now, and what department it's associated with and what task it's associated with as well. So this is how Shotgun Create kind of acts as your initial loader, if you like, a very simple artist-friendly panel. And then we can launch into Maya in the context of this particular asset. So it knows where the last publish was, where that scene file lives on your servers, and who should be working on it in this case. So we load it and we see it's already taken us to the correct place. We're importing it into the scene. Now, in terms of getting that over for creative feedback, what we can do then is do things like play blast. So Shotgun in Maya has a send play blast to create function now, which is quite handy. So whether it's turntables, walk cycles, anything else visual that you want to share with a director or anyone externally, you can do this all just simply at the click of a button from the Shotgun menu at the top here. So it would be send play blast to create would be the function. So it automatically does the play blast for you. We can then publish this. We can do a little thumbnail screen grab. We can add a comment in the description just saying what we've done. We can see here that it's associated with the texturing tasks and it's linked to the Dreadnought asset. Now the nice thing about these publishing tools is that we have the exact same look and feel across all of the integrations that we have with Shotgun. So the publishing tool in Photoshop, for example, even though it's not an Autodesk product, would look the same as what we see here in Maya. And because it's all been written in Python, and now most recently it can also be connected with a REST API, we give you the building blocks here, so you can use this as a starting point. It's not a black box, and you can go in and modify this. So for example, if you wanted to add some extra functionality and you have technical resources in-house, so any developers or anyone who's really got some Python experience, you could then start to add some additional functionality in here that would be relevant to your particular studio's workflow. So for instance, in rigging, you might want to have a sanity checker to check that everything's all zeroed out. So this is the starting blocks, but we give you all the building blocks to be able to build on this and take it to the next level and really customize these integrations for your studio. But the nice thing is you get a lot out of the box for free. So there's very minimal customization that needs to be done. In terms of where these Maya scene files get saved, this does version the files for you, but as I said, it's all still being saved on your local storage. But what this tool can do is to make sure that everything's being named correctly and being stored in the right place and in the right folder structure. And you have control over what that folder structure is. So again, you're not having to force your studio to work the Shotgun publishing tool folder structure. You can use your own folder structures and basically instruct this tool to follow your current file directory. Oops, sorry, let's jump to slide there. I'm just going to take us back to where we were. So once you've done your thumbnail, screen grab, you can do your comment. This is my first pass. You publish this. And when that publish has been complete, whoever is following that in the social sense, a bit like following somebody on Instagram, would get notified that this publish has been done. And this is the great part about the collaborative side of Shotgun, is that you have this kind of whole social side to it, not in terms of posting family pictures, but in terms of just giving everyone that awareness of what's going on in the studio at any given point in time. So from the other side of Shotgun Create, we have the review side of this. So this would be for directors, supervisors, anyone who needs to give creative feedback back to their art teams. So we can see here, instead of it being my tasks, it says my reviews at the top here. So we can then go in and view that play blast that has been submitted. So we can see we can view that turntable. We can compare two versions side by side, or you can even overlay them over the top of each other and do a wipe to see two versions laid on top of each other before you start giving your feedback. So we can start doing a review. We've got some basic annotation tools here. We can add little comments, and you can see here this little blue dot at the bottom on frame 13. It basically stores a little snapshot saying that, okay, this annotation was drawn at frame 13. So when that feedback gets sent back to the artist, they can scrub over and they can see a number of things happening. Now we can even do ghosting as well. So if you wanted to sort of do a few drawovers over a few frames to show a line of action, for example, you could very easily do this, and all that would happen is it would just a little blue dot for each frame that you had given your feedback on. So once you've given this feedback, the nice thing about the way this is all connected is the artist doesn't even have to leave Maya to get this feedback. So they can see in their notes section here that they've had this little draw over. They can say, sure, I'm on it. And it just keeps everybody connected and kind of keeps the clicks down to a minimum in terms of going back and forth to an internet browser. You know, you really can just, as an artist, work in Shotgun Create and Maya and know that all your work is still being monitored and reviewed by Shotgun at the same time. So the other side to sharing work is the review and approval side of Shotgun. So this is how we share with clients outside of the studio, and it doesn't just have to be clients. It could also be third-party vendors that perhaps you're working with that you would need to share artistic work with outside of the studio. So as well as having Shotgun Create for viewing work, we have a media section on your, so this is a browser view, and we can select several items here. We've got 6 items selected. We can create a dailies playlist if we want to. And if we want to share this playlist in the social sense, we can share via our client review site. Now the client review site, the nice thing about it is it doesn't take up a Shotgun license. So what it does is creates a custom URL that can be sent out to a third party, so they will get a nice email. It could be branded with your logo, and you create a secure environment for them to view and give creative feedback on only on what you share with them. So this doesn't give your clients an entry point to your Shotgun site for them to see everything that your studio is working on. They only get to see the items that you've shared with them. So what that looks like is we've got this little playlist of 7 items here. We're going to share it with Rita Hayworth in this case, and a few others. We're going to add a message saying, here's the latest playlist to review. We're going to send it. The playlist has been shared. They would receive an email. This could be branded with your logo, as I mentioned, and then they would just hit this view playlist button. So when they do that, they get to then view this playlist in this little nice client review site. They can start adding comments in here. They can also attach imagery and PDFs to those comments if they want to. That could be a way for them to share briefs with you. They also get access to these basic annotation tools as well. So if they want to do some arrows, some drawovers, they can give you that visual feedback. So it's a really nice way for you to interact with your clients when needing to share work with them. Now, by default, when the work gets uploaded for them to view on the web, it would go up at 720p, so it's very similar to uploading something to YouTube. But it's important to note that there are a few additional settings when you share with a client. Those can be a number of security items. So for instance, you can say, well, I only want this link to be available for 10 days. So you can kind of timestamp it so that that URL will be taken down after 10 days from a security point of view. You can password protect it. And the other side to it is that there's another additional tick box that when you share these files, you can say, make original footage available for download. So what that means is that if you want to allow your client to maybe download a 4K image or 4K movie in the correct color space, they can do so, but you have to tick to enable that functionality. But obviously that does increase the bandwidth of files that are being shared across your allowance. So I think it's 10 gigabytes per user per year is the official allowance for how much data can be shared. But then you're not in the bulk of times actually loading all of your scene files and 4K imagery to Shotgun. It's mainly metadata and encoded compressed movies that are being stored on your Shotgun site from the visual feedback point of view. So another side to Shotgun is that Shotgun comes with a copy of RV as well. So RV is a standalone desktop video review tool. And this again will talk to your Shotgun site. So what this looks like is a very simple cut down media player. So actually RV is the backbone that allows you to play some of the videos in Shotgun Create. So it's the technology behind that. It's a bit more bare bones. So it's got more technical features, but you can do things like view different channels, DPX sequences. It has cached playback as well, so that you're viewing everything in real time, so there's no delay. You can enable web streaming as well. You can view, I think, up to 9 different movies on one panel if you want to, and you can view all the different channels overlaid over the top of each other, whether you're doing wipes or side by side. So this all talks to Shotgun, and the nice thing about RV is that you can even make it your default player from things like Maya if you want to, instead of other tools. So you do your play glass, for example, it would go into RV, and then you can even drag and drop files from your desktop into RV and submit them to Shotgun from there as well if you wish. So you can still link it to a project. You can link it to a task, give a comment as you would with any other part of Shotgun. So RV came first, and then Shotgun Create is kind of like a layer on top, really, of the underlying RV technology. But you can see here it can have lots of different formats involved as well. The other thing that we have hiding in the background with Shotgun is basic cut support as well. So this allows you to actually upload an EDL file into Shotgun, which would give you your cut in and out points for a sequence. So what this allows you to do is to possibly change the EDL without having to necessarily re-upload different movies to be able to view stuff in context. It's also very useful because it would allow your artist to be able to do mini cuts as well. So if your artist wants to view just in the context of, say, compositing, lighting, or maybe layout, they can do so, and they can do what's called a mini cut. So they can say, just show me two shots before mine and 2 shots after mine. So if they want to view it in the context of everything else that's happening around them that might be coming from other animators, they can do so very easily. So you can also say play in RV, which is something I forgot to mention earlier, that any movies that have been encoded and uploaded to Shotgun, and so that would be the compressed 720p, you can simply right click and say play in RV, and when that happens, you're actually linking back to the original footage, whether it's 4K, whatever format it originated as. You can always have that connectivity back to that original file. So even though it gets encoded and uploaded to your Shotgun site, you've always got the ability to go back to view it in RV in the correct frame rate, correct color space. So you've got the 2 options basically, which gives you lots of flexibility. So the last part to Shotgun is the tracking and reporting side of Shotgun. So at the end of a production, or even during a production, you want to have a nice overview of how we're really getting on in production at the moment. So how far are we along? You know, how many assets haven't yet been started? It's giving that nice snapshot view of how successful the production is. Oops, I think that went back one. So something we have in Shotgun is it's called Production Insights. So this is the ability to build custom dashboards and widgets that would allow you to get a really nice snapshot of how things are really going. So for instance, every part of this, each blue box here is a separate widget. So you can build these pages and filter them to really focus on the information that's important to you. So this could either be for a department, or as I said, you could even filter based on a user's login. So if you wanted to build a dashboard that is bespoke for each artist, you would simply filter this dashboard by that individual's Shotgun login, and it would be bespoke to them. But the nice thing is we can see we've got 14 days left to the deadline. We can see what's in terms of assets are waiting to start, ready to start, in progress, or final. You can have stacked bar charts if you wish. And the nice thing is if you go into a pie chart here and you want to double click on any section of the pie chart, you can actually drill down into what those specific tasks are. So although this is giving you that nice snapshot overview, if we double click, say the ready to start here, see exactly which shots this is referring to. So we have 5 shots here, and we can go in and actually see all the feedback and all the versions of that particular shot straight from our dashboard. So this gives you a very quick and easy view to be able to do this. So the other side to this is that if you want to export this data at the end of production, you can do so. So there are a number of formats that you can do this as. You can export CSV files if you want to get that data into Excel. You can export JSON files as well. So obviously that's Python dictionary friendly. You can save out these charts as imagery if you wish as well. So it's really to help it not only during production, but also perhaps at the end of production. You want to build a dashboard that's more of a report at the end of production to see how things are going. We can do this. So you can see we can either import or export both ways into Excel. The other interesting part is if you want to build something called a custom page in Shotgun, you can use this as a reporting mechanism at the end of production as well. So if we want to perhaps see how long did we spend on this in terms of time logged versus how much did we bid on this, so how long did we think it was going to take us versus how long did it really take us. So obviously this does rely on artists being diligent and entering these time logs automatically. So that needs to become part of their day-to-day routine. But we can do some simple calculations here to give us things like percentage of time logged versus the bid. You can do some other interesting things as well, where if we want to, so this is just an example of somebody adding a time log, but if we want to add perhaps sensitive information in here, so maybe an artist's day rate, for example. So this isn't something that you would want visible studio-wide. You know, I don't think it's healthy for everyone to see what everyone's earning around them. But what we can do in this case is any field in Shotgun, you can sort out the permissions. So if we go to the permissions for that field, we can say, well, actually, I only want admins or HR or studio head to be able to actually see that particular column of information, or even the whole page could be locked down to a particular admin. Now what we see here on this last column is actual costs. So something we added to Shotgun last year is calculated fields. So it's been on the wish list for a while, but it works in the same way that a Excel sheet would work. So just multiplying one column of information by another. And most recently, we've also added dates into the calculated field functionality. So this was, I think, released last month. So allowing you to say, take today's date, subtract or add, another date, and start to do something with that information. But what we're doing in this case, we're just saying, take the time logs, so 2.5 days, multiplied by the day rate to give us the true cost of how much that particular task has cost the studio to actually build. So we can see how that would look. So if you go into configure field, we can see that we have this calculated field. So you're taking the time logs, multiplying it by the day rate, and then that would give you a really clear cost, which can be exported to Excel. So if your accounts department wants to kind of get all of this information at the end of a production, it would be very easy for them to get that weekly update if you wanted to from this kind of custom page. So we've seen a little bit of Shotgun Create and some of the other integrations we have with Shotgun, such as the Maya publishing. But I wanted to take a quick look at some of the other tools that we have supported out there at the moment. So these are some of the ones that we've been working on. So obviously we have some of the Autodesk products there. We have support for Photoshop and After Effects. And most recently, we have Unity and Unreal being added into our integrations this year. So I believe the Unity is still in beta at the moment, but it's very close to being completed. And as I mentioned earlier, the integrations have the same look and feel across all products. So we see here that we've got the Shotgun Loader, Publisher, and the panel for viewing notes and things like this. This will look the same across all of the products that are supported. And since we introduced a REST API last year, we've now seen a bigger uptake from the community. So there's now Toon Boom integration, for example. I believe most recently there's a Cinema 4D integration that has been written by third parties, so we don't support them, but it's using all the building blocks that we make available on GitHub. So anyone can take our building blocks and our modules and actually build their own integrations to work in the exact same way that our current releases do. The place where this is all stored, we have a GitHub, which is where most of our code lives. We have a Shotgun dev list as well as a Shotgun developer site as well, which is really good for getting all your reference and all of your instructions on how to build these integrations. We have a community forum now for Shotgun as well, where it's got a lot of our developers, a lot of our support guys on there, but also lots of people from the community and lots of your peers in other companies as well. We have over 200 educational partners using Shotgun worldwide at the moment. So it's really becoming quite an industry standard amongst educators at the moment. So it's really a great tool for people to be able to come into studios from universities and just know how to use it and hit the ground running when they start their first jobs in the industry. In terms of support, we have a 24/7 global support team. We have around 18 people on our support team worldwide, and they run a chasing the sun model. So usually there's somebody awake somewhere in the world who can see your tickets and get them answered as soon as possible. And for anyone who hasn't tried Shotgun, this is a link for sign up. You get a 30-day trial and you get full use of that and can add as many users as you like whilst it's in trial period. So it's a great way for you to just dip into the tool, see how it can work and have a play and give us your feedback as well. So we actually have an intercom function built into Shotgun now, where you can actually send messages directly to our support team from within the product as well. So when you're learning Shotgun, it's a great place to look. And in terms of learning resources as well, check out our YouTube channel, where we have a load of playlists dedicated to different industries. So we have a games playlist, most recently added, film and TV, and TV episodic playlist as well. So that would just be Shotgun software in YouTube, and then go to the playlist section, and you can find that information there.